Shelly Speaks Truth. Thank you for joining me for another episode right here on TooRawforTV.tv. Now, tonight I wanted to discuss a topic that has pretty much gone viral this week, and that is dysfunctional families. I think this is a topic that we're all pretty much, privy to because we've all had some sort of discourse in our own families, I'm sure of that. And joining me on the panel will be my co-host slash producer slash love slash husband and all that good stuff, Mr. Andre Johnson.
Hey.
And this week, many of you may know that singer Brian McKnight did go viral again. This is the second time he has gone viral for a very public, messy, and shameful discourse that he is going through with his children right now and former wife. Brian McKnight, I believe, has 7 children. There's 4 mothers, so there's a lot of back and forth right now between various households with Brian McKnight and his children and former wife in particular. Now, this week, his fans, well, I should say about to be former fans, was calling for him to be canceled because he decided to get online and very publicly bash his children by calling them products of sin. And then he also went on to say that he didn't raise them, their mothers raised them. So quite naturally, that got a lot of people talking. It raised a lot of eyebrows. And now he's being labeled one of the worst fathers ever by a lot of people. Like I said, social media just pretty much lit on fire after he called his children products of sin. And quite naturally, as for me, I really do hate to see families getting into disagreements, especially to this magnitude, and in a very public way. Brian McKnight, for those of you who don't know who Brian McKnight is, he is a very popular singer that reached peak success in the 1990s, an R&B singer. And for a while, we didn't really hear anything from him. And then he recently started touring again, I want to say a couple of years ago. And this feud between him and his family has been ongoing for almost a year now. Last year, he came out and pretty much said he was disowning his older children because they were gold diggers. And that's always confusing to me when it was confusing to me specifically to hear a parent call their children gold diggers, because the one thing that I don't understand about people who have the possibility in life to attain the amount of wealth that I'm sure Mr. McKnight attained, to reach millionaire status, I never understand why, some people who reach that position, they don't have certain things set in place for their children, to be able to live comfortably later on in life. But that's a different subject. Some people will argue to say, well, it's his money. He can do with it whatever he wants to do. And, that could be true. But when it comes to your children, like I said, I really don't understand why people who reach certain levels in life don't have things set aside for their children to be able to live a comfortable life once they reach adulthood. And as far as Brian McKnight goes, I know there's more than one side to a story, but what he is doing right now is a pretty disgusting display of dysfunction, because he is deciding to publicly shame his children for the world to see. They could have had this disagreement within their home and no one would have ever known about it if he hadn't decided to take it to social media, which is another thing that I really don't understand why people do. When they're going through things with their family, they decide to get on social media and make it a spectacle for everyone outside of their family to witness. Again, like I said, those things are very confusing to me. And as far as Brian McKnight goes, his children, at least the older ones, I feel like they rightfully have some justification to speak of him the way that they do, because he was the one that initiated these attacks against them online. I remember a particular incident where he has more than one daughter, but he decided to go to social media and say that his youngest daughter was the daughter that he never had and the daughter that he always wanted. And again, people were like, why are you doing this? Why are you humiliating your children like this for the world to see? And his response to it, recently, within the past couple of days, after he went viral again for the Products of Sin comment, he took to his social media again and said that, when you want to get to a place in life where you want happiness, sometimes you have to eliminate people, even if they are related to you.
But it's true though. Just true sound.
It's true. It's true. But for me, I mean, these are his children. These, if they're products of sin and they're products of you, then aren't you the sin that they're a product of? I don't understand that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's
Denominator in this problem. So, have you taken the time to sit back and really think about where you could have gone wrong in this particular situation? Because that is the hardest thing for people to do. I don't care how good of a person you are. It is very difficult for people to look in the mirror and say, man, I have this flaw, that flaw, this other flaw, and I need to work on me. Accountability and facing your own faults is something that's just really hard for many, many, many people to do. People struggle with that. I struggle with it because nobody wants to feel like they're the problem. But the only person that you can really, change is yourself. So you have to start there, especially when you're in a position like a father, because you're kind of, times they want to be the one that is the one. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to be the one that has all the money. They want to be the one that, for lack of a better word, is kind of flossing on their own family.
right.
So, it's a thing of where it's kind of like, you're never going to be as successful as me. And I'm the one, I have this, I have that. And again, these are his children. So it's like, again, like I said, it's confusing to me why he would be doing this to his children publicly, especially because you can have disagreements with your family, but to take it to different social media platforms where millions and millions of eyes are on you and you're going through this messy situation for everyone to see, I just find it to be completely unnecessary. And again, I don't understand why people do that. You can hash out differences with your family without making a spectacle. And that's why I say he gives me narcissistic vibes, because it's like he has to have the attention on him. And that's one of the things that his ex-wife...
So before you go too far, let's do this. Because we are streaming live right now on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and if you're listening to us on any one of these platforms, you need to stop and come on over to 2rawfortv.tv, because we've got to end all of these platforms. Right? We can't stay up here. So just go ahead and come on over. That's 2rawfortv.tv, and then you'll be able to see the rest of the show. Sorry to cut you like that.
No, that's fine. So again, that's 2rawfortv.tv. No, but I was saying, he gives me those vibes where he wants to be the center of attention, so much so that he's willing to embarrass his children so that he can garner support from strangers on social media. And again, as I was saying, his wife said that he's doing this for attention. He's going public because he wants attention and he wants sympathy from, spectators. He doesn't want to look like he's the problem. But like I was saying before, you're having problems and issues with the majority of your children. So again, you're one person and these various people are having problems with you. So I just don't understand why it is that you would feel like you play no role in what is going on right now. And Brian McKnight is not the only one, who puts on like this as it relates to their family. You have a lot of people within families who like to play victim, who like to manipulate their family members, who like to cause discourse within the family and then pretend as if they've done no wrong. And again, like I said, he's into it with his one of his sons who are very, very sick right now with cancer. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people were saying, I was reading in comment sections, people saying they're never going to attend another show. They're going to take his music out of their playlist. They won't buy another album because a lot of people are just backing on like this as a father with his children. And again, like I said, you can have disagreements with your children. Your children are not going to be perfect. Our children are not going to be perfect. We are going to have issues with our children in their younger age and as they get older because, as parents, we're not going to get it right 100% of the times. But a lot of times, what we do as parents is that we don't hear our children out enough. And we don't give them a safe space to express how they feel without viewing it as disrespect. And I think that's a mistake that parents make. I think you have to put your children in a position where they feel comfortable talking to you about things that they may not agree with. Because eventually they're going to do it. If they're not able to do it and if they have to suppress it in their childhood, one day it's all going to come out when they feel that they are of an age where they can say what they have to say to you without fear of, whatever type of consequence they may face when they're a child. And as I was saying before, I just feel like as families, we need to do more to kind of hash out our differences and talk to each other, not talk at each other. Again, you can't have situations where you have people in the family that is trying to manipulate people and cause discourse, because dysfunction in families is a real issue. It's a real problem. It's something that we all face. And I believe that's because, our family members, most of us, we tend to really care about our family. So they're able to get under our skin unlike anyone else. It's very easy for you, if you get into something with someone that you don't really care about, it's easy for you to just brush it off. But when it's your family, and, in particular, your immediate family or your close family, that's something that really bothers you. It really frustrates you. And we have a tendency to lash out against the people that's closest to us. And that's a real problem. That's something that needs to be addressed. We need to learn how to deal with our families in a better way to communicate with our families without, these types of things erupting where, people have cut their family members off and haven't talked to them for years and years. You have parents not speaking to their children. You have children, you have sisters and brothers who are not talking to each other. And it's because there isn't a lot of communication going on where people can sit down and actually speak their minds without triggering someone or offending. So I do feel like that's something that we can definitely work on as families, learning how to have these conversations with each other without trying to hurt each other's feelings, and just speaking from a place of realness about how we're going to, mend our families and become better as a community as it relates to our family dynamic. Because again, there are so many families right now that have decided to never speak to each other again. And that's just something that I feel is harmful. It's very, very harmful. And a lot of that does come from childhood. There's a lot of people that are dealing with childhood trauma, and they were never able to express themselves to their parents the way that they wanted to. So it has had an effect on the way that they deal with relationships in their adulthood. It affects the way they deal with their romantic relationships, their friendships. different, various relationships that they have with people outside of their family as well. And a lot of times, people who have not been able to effectively communicate with their family, their parents in particular, they have the worst relationships. They can't stay in a healthy relationship. They don't know how to express themselves. And I think that's something that, is a real issue that we really need to address. And people need to take out the time to face the fact that they are dealing with trauma and they are dealing with things that they need to, pretty much address, as they say, face your demons. That's something that we all need to do. We need to really peel back the layers and see what type of relationships that we have had in our lives that are affecting us today as it relates to our own, marriages, relationships, partnerships, things like that. I feel like we need to examine that and really figure out what has happened to us in our lives as it relates to our families and kind of, get the help and the healing that we need.
True. I agree. Nothing wrong with that. I feel like at the end of the day, it takes a little bit of maybe some professional help, right? Because it's not easy for you to look at yourself. It ain't easy, right? It takes a special character to look in the mirror. Shout out to Michael Jackson. What are you laughing about?
The man in the mirror.
I'm just saying. All right. So, shout outs to him. You're absolutely right. It does take quite a special individual, though, to do all of that work on their own, right? So I would recommend, professional help. There's nothing wrong with growth, right? And you can't grow by yourself, right?
No, you can't.
Period.
I think that therapy is definitely something that a lot of people are afraid to do. They're afraid to go to therapy because when you go to therapy and you speak to a specialist, a professional that studies human behavior and is going to deal with those things that you may have, continued to put on the back burner throughout your life, they're going to make you face those issues. They're going to make you go within, and you're going to have to bring out the things that you really don't want to discuss. And it does take a lot of courage to do that. And you have to get yourself mentally prepared to be able to discuss the things that have hurt you and plagued you for, maybe a large portion of your life. And one of those things in particular, like this situation with Brian McKnight, a lot of people have never been able to confront their parents about things that may have hurt them in their lives, because especially in our communities, unfortunately, a child addressing their parents and saying, hey, you did this, that, and the third to me, and it has impacted me in this way, shape, or form, even confronting your parents and, making it appear as you are, challenging them is seen as disrespect. Even in adulthood, people struggle with confronting their parents and saying.
I think if you lead with the word confront, then it's a challenge. I think we got to fix up that language a little bit. You know what I mean?
Addressing the issue, not so much confronting the person, because you're not going to go and, try to start an argument.
But that's what confront means, right? It means confront. I'm going to confront you regardless.
Right.
Yeah,
when I say that, I mean so more of confronting the issues. Confronting the issues is what I mean.
Let's just fix it up, right?
Right. I understand what you're saying, because it makes it seem like you're on the attack and you're ready to address someone with hostility.
Right. That's what
confrontation
is.
That's not what I mean. I mean confronting the things that have.
Let's just use. Can we get rid of the word confront and use a different word? There are plenty other words in the language.
So Okay, so since the word confront is a pet peeve for you right now, I'll just say address the issues.
It's.
I mean, the word confront for me doesn't necessarily mean confrontation. It means.
So, are we speaking for you, or are we speaking for the audience?
No, we're not speaking. We're not. Well, we're speaking for everyone, and right, I'm included in this conversation as well because, I'm not talking. I don't get up here and talk about things that don't apply to me as well. Like I said at the opening of the show, we all have faced we all have faced dysfunctional moments with
right.
our families.
Right.
We have all had these issues within our own families. I brought up Brian McKnight, and I'm talking about his situation in particular because it's something that has gotten people to talking this week about dysfunction within families and how we need to confront those issues.
So I mean, when you say when the word confront those issues is great, right? But when we start moving down the conversation and talking about black parents and confronting and disrespect, yeah, that's absolutely disrespect to even think you're going to confront your parent about anything in life. Now, if you want to go address the issue, right, it all starts with mindset. Everything in the world starts with mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So we do got to be careful about these words, and the way we move things. Because when I hear you say confront and black parents in the same sentence, yeah, it's disrespectful as hell, right?
I mean, it may sound disrespectful. It's not really again, like I said, I'm talking about confronting the issues just for clarity. I'm not suggesting that anyone go to their parents in a confrontational way because you're not going to get anything resolved like that. Because again, no matter how old you get, they're still your parents, so you do have to address the situation with respect. It's not about getting into confrontations with your parents. I don't mean that in any regard. I would never suggest for anyone to disrespect their parents. But at the same time, parents have to also understand that your children are human, and it's not going to always be a situation where you are correct about everything. Absolutely. And you have to allow your children, because they're not always going to be children. You're going to go from dealing with children to dealing with other adults that are your children, but they're going to speak their mind, and they should be allowed to do that in a respectful way, of course.
Absolutely.
And address those issues that may have, they may have not been able to address at another stage of their life. And like I was saying before, not being able to get these things out of your system, not being able to address the things that have hurt you in your life coming from your family. Because this thing of, it being your family, so you kind of got to brush things under the rug as it relates to how they may be treating you. That's something that I've never agreed with. You hear people say, well, it's family. No, your family should definitely be the people that kind of gives you that safe haven to feel respected, to feel comfortable. So it should never be a thing where you can't go to your family and simply say, hey, you said this, that, and the third to me. I didn't appreciate that. I don't like the way you're treating me. You have to be able to set up comfortable boundaries with your family, especially because you're going to deal with your family at some points in your life, unless
or not.
I mean, there's always the option to stop communicating with your family, but is that the best option?
No, I mean, just saying, or not. I mean, let's not just sit here and make it feel like, oh, you're born with your family and you're gonna die with your family.
No,
so you
not at all. Not at all.
I
mean, of course not. Of course not. There's definitely times where that's why I say it's so important to address the issues, talk them out, because sometimes you do have to just agree to disagree and respectfully move on. You may not be able to hash out all the differences, or you may not be able to hash out any of the differences.
So let me ask you this. We're going to talk about this, right? And we're getting deep, and I love the convo, right? Later on, are you planning on opening up the phone lines to let people get involved with the conversation?
I would love for people to call in because I have a story that I want to tell.
So hold on. So you're going to open up the phone lines.
Yes, I'm
and then you're going to let people. You're going to let people call in. Yes. What's the phone number that people would have to call in?
Phone number was right there on the screen, 470-666-2194. Again, that is 470-666-2194. If you want to get in on this conversation, because again, it's something that we all have dealt with or maybe currently dealing with right now while we're watching this show. So
just so you know, like some people be driving and they can't really look at the screen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So let's run that phone number one more time again.
470-666-2194. Again, that's 470-666-2194.
And then I'm sure you got some solutions coming up for the people, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and we're not just going to sit here and ramble and complain about problems, are we?
Of course not.
All right. So here's what. We've gone half hour so far complaining about the problems. So we're gonna let's take a quick commercial break, right? And then on the other side of this thing, we'll open up the phone lines, right? Mm-hmm. And then we'll come up with some solutions, hopefully.
Well, we did address a couple of issues, but we'll get more into that on the other side of the break.
Too Raw for TV. This is Miss Lady Locks. I'm talking about the journey of your locks. Let's talk about it. What made you lock yours? It's just the people without locks. Why are you twisting people's hair? And I don't discriminate against race because there's people with locks in all nationalities. Talk to me. What I'm introducing is a platform for us lockheads, dreadheads, wolfheads. What do they call them now? Wickheads. All of y'all. Oh, and our beautiful fake lockheads. So tune in. Locks are amazing. Did you know that gold magnetizes our hair, our natural hair? Do the experiment yourself. Take a piece of gold and take your natural hair. What are you influenced by? Whom are you being influenced by? Because it shows your character on the outside, what you feel on the inside. Let me see. Locks of Life with Miss Lady Locks. Tell me about your journey. Bless. People with locks are the smartest people.
If you hear my voice, then you're part of the revolution. I'm Palmetto Star, the host of Too Raw for TV. We've been broadcasting since November 4th, 2010. We've been mentioned on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. We've had hundreds of articles written about the movements presented on Too Raw for TV, and we want to work with you. We want to showcase your revolutionary idea, product, and conversation. We can interview you. We can showcase your product. We can create content that will take you to the next level. But it starts with you. Click the link. The revolution will not be televised. Too Raw for TV.
Peace. I'm your brother Crumb, the master student. Crumb TV.
Brother Red Pill representing Know the Ledge, one half of the Twin Pillars. I'm here rocking with Crumb TV.
No, you are watching Crumb TV.
You can find me on Crumb TV.
You can catch me on Crumb TV. This is Chief Kalanago here at Crumb TV.
I am Joy Allen of the Memoirs of a Karmic Dynasty in the Crumb TV studio.
Honored to be on your program, brother.
Peace. Peace.
Crumb. Can we acknowledge that I've been podcasting before podcasting was even a thing?
You know, certain countries, they bleach their skin trying to be fairer complexion because they realize when you're lighter, you get better privileges.
Y'all, quit hating on big women. Quit hating on big women.
There's a reason God has put everything on this earth. He put a man to balance a woman to balance a man. That's why he utilizes the symbolization of being connected at the rib.
I'm back. Check out my show, Lady Empress Presents Real Talk. To Raw for TV, Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Ta-ta.
And we're back in.
And we are back. We are back. Okay, if you are just tuning in, we are talking about dysfunctional families.
Well, hold on before you go too far. Speaking of dysfunction, stick around a little bit later to Two Raw for TV, right? And make sure y'all check out Lady Empress, right?
Speaking of dysfunction, okay.
Shout out to Lady Empress.
That was quite the introduction.
No, man, Lady Empress got it going on.
That's right. Lady Empress, baby.
All right.
But anyway, she's coming up right after us at 10 p.m., right? So in between our show and her show, you know, you can finish up whatever you got to finish up with the little kiddos. You got to, go get some food, some popcorn, or, some snacks or whatever, and tune in for the rest of the dysfunction that is Two Raw for TV.
Okay. I guess we can call it dysfunction. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'll just go with it. But we are discussing dysfunctional families tonight, and dysfunctional family dynamics in particular. In light of this viral confrontation, because that's what it is, between Brian McKnight and his 4 oldest children. He went viral this week after a comment calling his children products of sin. So that pretty much lit social media on fire. And I said, I want to go ahead and address dysfunctional family dynamics this week because I do feel like it's...
Before you do that.
Okay.
Did Brian McKnight just recently become pastor, or did he the founder of a new church or something like that? Because I'm just thinking publicity.
He didn't become a founder of a church.
You sure?
I'm sure.
All right. I'm not just handing nobody collection plate.
No.
Something like that. All right.
Really?
I'm just making sure.
Why did it have to be a church?
Because, you start calling children's products of sin and stuff like that. It's got, it's appealing to the church.
Anyway, I guess so. Only you would think that. Only you would think of that. But
it's not my fault. I'm an Aries and I lead the pack.
Yeah, lead the pack into craziness. But the first half of the show, we did talk about the dysfunction aspect of it. So I do want to, talk about some solution-based things right now. I was going to read this article, but I think we said enough on the dysfunction aspect of it. Now, as far as solutions go, what I would suggest for people that are facing the types of issues that Brian McKnight and his family is facing right now, you have to sit down and have the conversation. It's something that no one wants to do. No one wants to have to sit down and pull back layers upon layers of problems that have occurred over a number of years within their life. Because like I said, this has been ongoing with him and his family, where his other children feel abandoned. And he came out and said he's disowning those particular children. So in order for there to be any type of healing in this situation, they're going to have to sit down and have the conversation. Everybody is going to have to put it all out on the table, address the problems that they feel are causing the issue, like I would suggest for anyone to do.
Let me ask you a question though. But yeah, you know me, I gotta play devil's advocate because, God damn me,
There's a call. Let's grab the call.
Oh, you don't want to hear what I got to say?
I do want to hear what you got to say, but I'm just going to take the call. Caller, you're live.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Damn the hell with what he got to
Caller,
say.
you're live.
Let's go to the caller.
Yes, I want to talk about that whole Brian McKnight thing because, you know, it does seem kind of crazy that he is confronting or saying things like that about his children publicly.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta think, how crazy is it that we don't see what's happening behind the scenes of all that? Because it just seems like, I don't know Brian McKnight personally, of course, and I only know him through his music.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just to maintain a level like he did, you have to have some sort of sense about you, seemingly. But but when, you know, people are saying things like that, or what he's saying about his children and stuff like that, to me, it just seems like there's a lot of hurt behind that.
Something else is going on, ain't it, caller? Something else is going on.
Well, if you get online and literally say that you have disowned that part of your family, now again, we don't know the inner workings, we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes, but the things that what I'm paying attention to is what we are seeing. The petty little slights that he's taking at his children, and I don't believe for 1 minute that his children are completely innocent. I don't believe in any situation that any one person is going to be completely innocent.
That's where I was kind of going. I'm kind of agreeing with the caller on this one. Like, at the end of the day, we don't know what them little naughty-headed spoiled ass.
But why take it to
They might want a Ferrari.
Why take it to social media, though? Why take it to social media, publicly shame and embarrass your family? To me, that screams narcissist and it screams petty, and it's the epitome of dysfunction. Because
Black man can't do nothing out here without being a narcissist.
No. You're not gonna go. Now, you had to go throwing the black man in there. Anyway, Paula, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, you know that Cat Williams was talking about celebrities that get these wives that are part of the Hollywood machine, these nondescript, light-skinned wives, and confronting them on social media is the only way he could back them off, like exposing more people to what he's going through. I don't know. I mean, I that's something I wouldn't, I would never publicly do to my children or child. And it's like, but what brings a person to that point? When it comes to hurt, it's like you never say never because something could happen that could
I want you to stay on the line for a minute because I want to say this, because when we talk about leaders, he's the father of the children. He's seen as the one in the leadership position in the family. So is this his display of leadership, being messy on social media? And how does he expect the children to act if he's acting an ass, is my question.
So I get it, right? I get what you're saying, 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like where I was going. Like, yeah, we don't know what these snotty ass kids is asking for, and we don't know what kind of rotten behavior is going on behind the scenes. But if we pull pull back the layers of the onion all the way, we got to go back all the way to the parent. What did the parent originally instill in these snotty nose ass children?
He's the captain of the ship. You know what? I'm gonna read this article right quick. It's not that long. I said I wasn't gonna read. I don't have to read it. I read it before, so I can paraphrase. Now his son, his oldest, I think this is his second oldest or his oldest son. He responded to the products of sin comment, and he said, "It's funny to me that a man who was cheating on the mother inside the home that they lived in, would have him to go clean the bathroom after his activities and pick up dirty condoms off the bathroom floor. Now, this is from his son's mouth. This isn't a rumor. This isn't speculation. So these are the types of things that the kids were going through in the home.
Yeah, there's all kinds of dysfunction going on, right? So that's one dysfunction that was actually aired out, right? I mean, how many other dysfunctions led up to that point? Just like the caller was saying.
I mean, imagine what that does to a child, though. I mean, you're the father, and you're doing these things in the family home, and he has to not witness the acts, but has to deal with the aftermath of that. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe everybody is 100% innocent, but I want to know, he's the captain of the ship. So if it's sinking, he needs to look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I going to do to get this ship back on course? That's the way I feel about it.
And maybe that's what he's doing.
Going to social media and putting fuel on the fire?
Cutting half of y'all asses off. Burning y'all
okay, I guess if that's what we're going to do, if we're going to just start cutting our family members off. Caller, do you have anything to add to that last half of it? What's your thoughts on that?
Just continuing on with the ship analogy. You know, sometimes the ship may have sunk so low, there's no way you can save anybody. You just got to jump ship.
Yeah, but the captain always got to stay with the ship till the end. The captain got to be the last one off, though, homie.
So the captain have to wait until he goes all the way
Captain got to
down.
wait until everybody off. Bitch, you got to die down there. Bitch, you got to die. You call yourself a captain. You got to die.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I appreciate your call. All right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, but you can't be out here calling yourself the captain of the ship and ain't willing to go down with your ship before everybody else. You can't be the first one jumping ship on your own doggone ship. Real deal.
I mean, from what I'm picking up from this, like I said, what my spirit is reading from this whole situation is that there has been years and years of problems and issues that have occurred within this family. And it doesn't seem like anybody has been able to get through to one another. So, you know, it might be time for people to part ways. But if there is any beacon of hope that they're able to hash out these differences, I would hope in that situation that anybody, any family, would be able to let go of their pride, drop their ego, and say, okay, what do we do now? How do we mend this? How do we get the family back on course? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to go to your grave with any regrets. You don't want to go to your grave saying, or see, you know, someone in your family go to their grave and you're full of regrets and you're saying, maybe I should have said this, or maybe I could have done this differently. Or
while I agree with you, right? Two sides of every coin. There ain't no coin out here without one coin. Even damn Bitcoin got two sides, right? In that same breath, sometimes you can't eat yourself away in the name of fucking family either.
Of course
right?
not.
Sometimes you got to understand when to cut the cord. Whether it's mother, father, woman, man, uncle, auntie, niece, nephew, best friend, because what will happen in a lot of times is there's a lot of narcissistic behavior out here, and there's a lot of energy vampires out here. Yeah. But whether they realize it or not now, that's a funny thing what I've realized about energy vampires, right? You see, the thing about energy vampires, they don't necessarily have to know that they're an energy vampire, right? They can just naturally, that's just their natural existence. And you sometimes have to be able to see that, right? And sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you have to cut certain people off, bro. Sometimes you just
yeah, I don't
for your own
disagree with
benefit.
that. I don't disagree with that. I feel like when all else fails and you've tried all that you can, because you can only work with people who are willing to work with you. So if you have someone that's willing to just start the conversation and willing to hear you out and you're willing to hear them out, that's a start, because you can't get anywhere by putting up a wall and not wanting to communicate. So that's why I say, if you have, issues within the family and everybody is willing to sit down together, willing to just strip themselves of all negativity and open up a space where everyone can effectively communicate with each other, I think that's the best route to take. It may take having professionals intervene, or it may just take taking a few moments to reflect within and say, okay, I'm up for this. I'm up for trying to solve this issue.
And I think that's your biggest. I think that's your biggest challenge right there, right? Because at the end of the day, the hardest thing is for folk to look at themselves, right? And whether you're talking about professional help or otherwise, that's the hardest thing in the world, for folk to look at themselves, to really see themselves,
Yep.
So
Accountability.
you're asking for a whole lot. You're asking for a whole bunch of people to sit down together and look at themselves. Man,
that's what it's gonna take. That's the solution. If you want to know what the solution is, start with yourself. Like I said, it doesn't matter how good of a person you think that you are. We are all flawed, and that's something I strive to do.
Unless you're Aries, and you're just a.
If you're an Aries, that's strike one. You already got a strike on the board.
Pardon you.
Yes. Aries, I'm sorry that we have to speak truth over here. If you're an Aries, that's strike one. You already have a strike on the board, so you have to start from there. You're already in the red.
Y'all hear this abuse?
If you're an Aries, you're already in the red.
Y'all hear the abuse, right?
So you have to work extra hard if you're an Aries, because you're already in the red starting out. So with that being said,
see how the rest of the world hates us?
I mean, you got
simply because we're the first. We're just simply because we're the leaders. Simply because
you save the best for last, which is the last month of the year, my December baby.
The last can't come if the first don't get here.
You save the best for last. You go through all the other processes, and then you get to.
Nobody wants to hear about zodiac signs. Let's move on with the show.
Wait a minute. Okay, and you see why I said if you're Aries, you're already in the red. Now, as I was saying, the solution is to start with yourself, because again, you are responsible for your own actions. So once you're able to sit down and have a conversation with yourself, and you can come to terms with the fact that you want change and you want to have a better relationship with your family and whomever. It doesn't always have to be blood family. It can be anybody that you're having a dysfunctional dynamic with, but family in particular, because, we want to be able to have a good relationship with our family. So again, it starts with you. It starts with being able to do a inventory check on self and see what things you can improve about yourself. And then everyone coming together after going through that process, I personally feel that it will make the engagement much easier for everyone else. If everyone has done the internal work on themselves first.
People have to go look at themselves.
Why are you so against people looking at themselves?
No, I'm not against it. I'm all for it, 100%. I'm just letting you know what's happening out here in the world. Right? People gonna pull back the first layer, maybe the second layer. They'll go maybe even further to the third.
So you
layer.
have no faith in the fact that people are gonna be able to do, like I said, self-analysis and become so self-aware that they're able to say, man. I have this flaw, that flaw, and I want to be able to change that.
I
have faith.
You got about 6% that might. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna take off 1% off of that. I'm gonna go with the 5%ers. You got about 5% that might. Shout outs to 5,000.
Y'all see what I'm going through. Y'all see my challenges. No faith in us at all.
In the human race? You wait a minute. Gosh darn a minute. You tell me, where in the hell has the human race gave you anything to have faith about? Please tell me.
Well,
Just give me one, for instance.
no, I'm going to disagree with you. Because I'm so happy that in this generation, and this is one thing that I admire about Gen Z. Gen Z ain't going. They're not going to allow the norms of the past to be their norm. And in certain regards, that is a very good thing.
That's no generation.
Because
no generation ever let the generation.
Not like Gen Z. Gen Z said, hell no, we won't go. Gen Z ain't going.
Yeah, they ain't going nowhere fast.
Don't do Gen Z like that. Anyway, Gen Z
they ain't going nowhere fast.
Gen Z is not going. They're not dealing with toxicity. They're not dealing with all these.
No, they're gonna stay in they're gonna stay in their phone, in their bubble.
No, they're not. They're getting help. They're getting the help that they need.
Where?
And I admire that about them. No, you have more people than ever who are, especially in this generation, that are confronting, I'm going to use that word, their trauma. And they are getting the help that they need. They're willing to talk to professionals. They're not okay with being emotionally abused. They're not okay with being psychologically abused. They're not okay with any of that. And they are getting the help that they need.
These are the kids that are on TikTok that they can't say anything because they'll puncture.
Because what?
Because they'll puncture.
What are you talking about?
They'll puncture. You know what a puncture is?
I know what a puncture is.
Yeah. Like, okay, you can't say anything to these children because they will puncture.
Anyway, I think it's a good thing.
And shout out to the voice of the 80s babies.
I think it's a good thing. And I'm not a Gen Z, okay? I'm an early millennial. So I was raised by baby boomers, okay? And we went through it. And I'm very happy that this generation is not taking it anymore. They're not going to live a life of trauma. And that's a good thing. And I think that we can take a page out of their book, at least in that regard, and get the help and the healing that we need, because our generations went through a lot of trauma and we were not allowed to address. I was not allowed to address a damn thing. I had to eat it and I had to deal with it.
I think some of these children, if I'm paying these damn bills, they got to eat it and deal with it.
No,
when the hell you mean no?
No.
When they y'all gonna start paying their own bills.
It's not about bills. Okay.
What you mean?
Bills does not define someone's humanity. Respecting you is one thing, and I do not advocate for any child to disrespect their parents. But you have to be very honest about the way we grew up. It wasn't, our parents didn't do everything right. I mean, they got a lot of stuff right, discipline and things like that.
In my eyes, my parents did everything right. Every ass whooping I got, I deserved.
I
didn't get no ass whooping that I did not deserve.
It's not about ass whippings. Were you in a position where you were able to have conversations where you could express disdain for things that you did not appreciate that happened to you growing up?
Yes. That didn't change anything. It just
So how has that affected you in your life today? Are you satisfied with that?
What do you mean?
Are you satisfied with not being able to see any change after expressing how you felt?
No, because, the expression didn't change anything. So I then did the cutoff, which made the change.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't advocate for cutting off, but again, there are situations where that may have to be a solution, hopefully only a temporary solution.
Listen, I'm for you. I'm for you or anyone else. When you go to a person, place, or thing, when you spend your time with a noun, any noun, right?
Mhm.
Person, place, or thing, right? That's what a noun is, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the best doggone student.
You're correct.
All right. Now, if you spend your time with a noun, and when you leave this noun, you feel worse about yourself, you need to cut that fucking noun off.
That's very interesting that you say that. Okay, but you know, we're at our time now. I feel like this can kind of latch on to next week's conversation.
What you talking about next week?
I'm not gonna reveal that right now.
Why not? You got people tuning in. They want to listen. They want to know.
Listen, next week is going to be a hair raiser because it was a hair raiser for me. I don't know how many people are familiar with the Queen Maker, the Queen Maker, yes. But I've heard of her before. I've never actually taken out too much time to watch her content. But when I tell you, whew, yeah, so the Queen Maker, she doesn't feel that men are capable of loving anything. So we're gonna dive into that. You know, we're gonna talk about that because it is highly controversial. She is a highly controversial content creator. But, you know, I really want to talk about that because she makes some valid points. But anyway, we're gonna get into that. And again, like I said, just to close out, if you are facing any type of dysfunction within your family, my suggestion is for everyone to do the best they can to try to resolve those issues. That involves taking a close look at yourself and seeing what you can improve about yourself. And again, you don't want to get it to this point, but if you do feel like there's just no reasoning, then the time may have to come where you will have to distance yourself from certain people within your family or any other dysfunctional dynamic that you may be facing.
Any noun that you don't feel good about, it makes you not feel good about yourself. Cut that shit off. You don't need it in your life. You'll be better.
Well, there you have it. So thank you for tuning in to Shelly Speaks Truth right here on TooRawForTV.tv. And I hope to see you all return next week. Again, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe at TooRawForTV.tv. And we will see you next week.